We've come from a history in the South African music industry where I believe women were seen and heard in terms of sound, but not really in terms of how they felt.
Yeah.
And not really in terms of leadership. Music tourism is such a great opportunity on the African continent, and especially for me in South Africa, and we've not even tapped the surface. You have cities that are called music cities,
Yes.
such as your Austin, Texas, your Nashville, Tennessee,
Absolutely.
your if you can believe it,
Amsterdam's.
London and Sydney and Tokyo apparently are music cities.
Yes.
Joburg
yeah, it
is a music city.
It is.
You know, it's a no-brainer. We've got G20
Yeah.
coming in the next few months. Can we create a music heritage route?
Yeah.
For me, Africa is a sleeping giant as far as visitor attractions is concerned. And that's why you have your Disneys of this world right now looking at Africa.
Yeah. Like this.
And your Universals and your Merlin, your Legolands, etc. Because they've been wanting
Yeah.
to do something on the continent, but it's not easy because our cultures are unique.
That melody, that sting, represent another episode of Gauteng Lifve, your premier platform where we speak everything entertainment, creative economy, visitor economy, and we are also interfacing it with our new reality, the digital ecosystem that we find ourselves in. We are coming direct from our brand new studio set, and with that new sound and new melody, welcome to Gauteng Lifve, your premier platform where we discuss everything about the visitor economy. I'm your champion host, Barba Gaoganediwe, and today I'm joined as we celebrate women in tourism, women in heritage, and women in the broader creators economy, as South Africa also marks Women's Month. I'm joined by my sister, my dear friend, Nompumelelo Mabuza, wearing many hats, board member in AAVEA, and also CEO at Downtown Studios. The actual heritage, the national heritage of our South African music. Welcome to Gauteng Live.
Thank you so much, Baba. It's an absolute honor to be here. I am a friend and a fan of Gauteng tourism. Love the vision you have for this province because it's such a significant province for the entire Africa. And really love the innovation, you know, the digital economy and how GTA has flowed with this. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, we've been literally having you on the radar, so we were quite excited when you accepted our invitation. And it's Women's Month, and you can't separate heritage, our liberation heritage, our women's struggles, to music
Yes.
as part of, but also the heritage. So as we mark Women's Month, how important are our historic heritage sites in actually reinforcing what the month is all about?
Sure. What a big question. Baba, I'm glad you said in the beginning that I represent one of the important cultural heritage institutions in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's important for me because it hasn't been recognized as that.
No, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Officially.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. So heritage is very important on this month because, you know, I, as you said, work for Downtown Music Hub, and the hub has a rich history
Yeah.
of unparalleled recordings that happened at that studio. It's a really iconic studios. Miriam Makeba recorded there. Lots of women of diverse genres of music, even those who participated in films such as Your Lion King, for example. And so, all the way from the 50s to where we are today, we have women who have stood the test of time. We have women who've contributed to our music in South Africa and Africa. And the list is endless, really. Yeah. And they're from all music genres and all different types of cultures. So, yeah, it's really significant.
Earlier on, we were talking about the influence of music, especially to women's struggles, and we're talking about the song Soweto Blues and reflecting on the iconic South African township of Soweto and the voices behind that song, which became a representation of the 1976 uprisings. Music has been an integral part of our heritage. And West, as Africans, we sing when we are happy, we sing when we mourn, we sing when we don't know how we feel.
That's right.
But what has been some of the challenges handling and managing this national treasure? I recall Graceland album called Paul Simon, with that guitar, and his work and the recordings there, the legendary Brenda Fassie at the time, and with the Gallo Records space. What has been some of the challenges in managing and taking care of this national treasure? Back then, recordings were not as sophisticated as they are, and designed to stand the test of time,
right,
and last for forever. So, what has been some of the challenges in managing these national assets?
I'm glad you've asked, because I have just finished a Zoom meeting with my professor, as I was talking to you earlier, Barba, and we were talking about some of those challenges. In fact, my thesis title reflects on the past 30 years of democracy in South Africa and how the music industry has evolved. And what are some of the lessons we've learned from the trends, from the challenges, and also what are some of the opportunities we have. And so the challenges are part of the of an important pillar within this study. We were talking about how in the 90s, we experienced what some of the politicians or leaders in South Africa called the cultural renaissance in South Africa. And however, my study is looking at the revenues. And there's a trend around revenues that said actually revenues didn't really live up to that.
They say the good cause doesn't necessarily, in this world that we live in, drives the bottom line.
That's the unfortunate part.
And how do we change that,
Yes. Yeah. So the revenues are part of the challenge. Of course, the music industry is such a dynamic industry globally, because, we've moved from different types of how the music is published. And we've moved from your vinyls when I was growing up, the LP, to where we are today, when you can just stream your music, and everything in between, of course. And so there's been such a change in terms of the ecosystem of music, and all of that brings opportunities and challenges. Women specifically in the music industry, I'm glad I met Nomsa Mazwai just outside before we started here, because she is one of the voices for the music industry in terms of specifically challenges. And you are talking about somebody here who is a musician, is a creative, and her family being a family of creatives. And so when she speaks, she's talking what is real life, day to day for them. So there's a lot of challenges around, the issue of women and their voices, you see, being heard. I think we've come from a history in the South African music industry where I believe women were seen and heard in terms of sound, but not really in terms of how they felt, and not really in terms of leadership. I think it was people such as Miriam Makeba, who from exile, started voicing out and being part of the voice for South Africa, from America and elsewhere where she went. She took our music, and that voice still resonates till today.
Absolutely. And handed over the baton, one of the most misunderstood artists, Brenda Fassie, for example. The princess of Africa, Mama Yvonne Chaka Chaka, who continued to be a South African representation, across the many African states.
That's right.
Continued to get booked, perform at presidential inauguration, state dinners, and the like. And you touch on a very important aspect about music being an emotive expression.
Right.
And when you are facing patriarchy, you are facing, just being discriminated for being of a different sex. You are also facing discrimination for being black,
Right.
And nowadays it even moves to age. Of a certain age group, and being responsible for the national archives of our soundtracks, of our sounds. Comparing to now, how do we then ensure that at least what has been built an archive, which for me had a soul, and that is why this music is timeless.
Right.
Doesn't just sit in the archives. It's embedded in the type of content that gets generated out. And I'm making reference to this because in your other portfolio, you are responsible for attractions.
Right.
And we have never looked at our heritage sites and our attractions as venues for cultural expressions. And therefore, a music jam session on Women's Month at the Women's Jail at Constitution Hill. How will that look like? Incorporating, the current jams and experiences, leveraging on the heritage that has been built by Abu Mama Makeba. Do you think that's an opportunity that we could tap on and leverage?
Sure. That is a sleeping giant, I believe.
Yeah.
I wrote an article a couple of years ago for a publication, a tourism publication for the continent called Voyages Afrique.
Okay.
And it talked about how music tourism is such a great opportunity on the African continent, and especially for me in South Africa. And we've not even tapped the surface,
Absolutely.
as you know.
Yeah.
And so there is such an opportunity for venues, as you've said, for creating attractions out of our music industry.
Yeah.
In its various forms, because the music industry ecosystem is quite wide. And there is opportunities, for example, at Downtown Music Hub, we have a vision of a music precinct, of creating this space that doesn't only enable musicians and music role players to come and connect, collaborate, record, work, have a space of their own where they can feel comfortable to do their work. But we are saying, in addition to that, bring in visitors to experience the history of our music. You know, there's a great opportunity to package this history that you are talking about when we speak about how old Downtown Studios is.
Yes.
And what has happened over so many years. You know, I always get excited when a musician comes to the hub and takes me on a tour of the hub.
Yeah. Doesn't get bigger than that.
No,
it
doesn't.
Goosebump stuff.
Goosebump stuff, and stuff that is always fresh.
Yeah.
Always new. And I know that there's so much more, many more stories that I've not heard before. That's why we initiated a couple of years ago a documentary to be developed on the history of, or the story of Downtown Studios. Because can you imagine, you have a documentary, for example, of Joseph Shabalala and the Ladysmith Black Mambazo. Yeah. You have one of Lebu Matosa, which was actually recorded at the, or the footage was actually taken at Downtown Studios as well, and many more. That's just one story, or a story of one musician. Can you imagine how many more we have? So that packaged in an experience where people from all over the world can come and experience the uniqueness of our music history.
Absolutely.
It doesn't exist.
And for me, that at least warms my heart, because it reaffirms the point that we are on strategy. As we have declared this year, the year in which we promote sports, wellness, and music tourism. Not that the other years we wouldn't, but we are putting a specific focus on this, low-hanging fruit, because the system is there. And I'm envisaging a situation where, that musician that will have taken you through a tour, actually, how do we actually formalize him or her doing that work in him or her spare time? And how do we get the likes of the Gauteng Tourism Authority to actually accredit this person as a guide who is accredited, so that it actually broadens the revenue streams? But you can imagine you are getting paid on sharing what you love, what you do. That's not a job.
Right.
It's a passion in expression.
Baba, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something that Downtown Music Hub and Gauteng Tourism have been talking about over the past few years. Yeah. And in fact, we put our money where our mouths are, and trained some of our incubates within our the pilot incubator program. Perfect. It's actually the music business incubator program that ran at the hub a couple of years ago, and some of them were trained and now have certification. 100. They're certified tour guides, which means that in this challenging industry where musicians are all constantly seeking to expand their revenue streams, so that there's more opportunities for them to make money and sustainable funds as well. You then have musicians who can be tour guides.
Absolutely.
And that's something that you don't hear about.
But often. You can imagine also, even now in the space, somebody says, this is the back room studio where we recorded this conquering sound of Amapiano.
Right.
And actually, this was the hype star. And this he tried to produce, but he ended up becoming a DJ. Yeah. And the like. And for me, that makes the story more intimate. And it's shared by the protagonists themselves. Therefore, there's ingenuity, there's authenticity in that storytelling, because it's a representation of actually what happens.
Right.
And this brings me to the attractions themselves again. So how do we create unique attraction sound? And I guess it's a challenge to also the creators, the musicians that are there, the youngsters that are in the space. So when I walk into Maroping, what is that unique sound that gives a representation of this space that I'm in? When the team at Maroping creates an advert about Maroping, whether on radio or on television or other space, that I'm loving it, sting and music becomes a consistent line and soundtrack that are a representation of this. But not only that, how do you even in other attractions like hotels, how do you create jazzy sounds hotels? The piano sounds in the hotels that are playing as a background music that enable more distribution, more revenue for artists. Is it something that you guys are considering at AAVEA as you work with multi-partners?
So it's interesting how... So it is something we've been considering. We've been discussing this over a period of time. In fact, not just locally, but globally as well. Yeah. And in fact, there's an appreciation because, remember, I also serve on the international body of attractions and amusement parks, AAPA. Let me just put it that way. Yes. Yeah. So I serve on their board, on the Europe, Middle East and Africa
we
board.
attended a conference in Sun City.
That's right. That we hosted.
Yeah, we hosted, yes.
In fact, I just returned a couple of weeks ago from the board meeting in Blackpool in the UK. And so we talk about how music has positioned itself globally. Yeah. And let me start there, because you have cities that are called music cities, such as your Austin, Texas, your Nashville, Tennessee,
absolutely,
your, if you can believe it, London and Sydney and Tokyo apparently are music cities.
Yes,
Joburg is a music city.
It is.
You know, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. And that's why we have been, engaging strategic partners such as Gauteng Tourism, Joburg Tourism, and a few others, where we are saying, can we create, we've got G20 coming in the next few months. Can we create a music heritage route of Joburg? And we start with this nucleus, and we can expand that to Gauteng. Because in Joburg, you have not just downtown studios, you have Kippies, you have this place, you have Market Theatre, Soweto Theatre, Sophia Town, M1 Studios. Docky House, a lot of places. And so you can easily create what you described earlier about this is somebody's piano. This is what happened. Which songs were played on these pianos? What happened? What are some of the stories of this piano? And so those are the kind of stories that we need to package. And when we talk about this music heritage route, we want to package those stories told by the real people.
100, because the real people becomes an integral part of the story. So it's not staged.
Correct.
It's the actual real lived experiences. And I guess the opportunity is also about being able to also adapt to trends, also adapt to spaces. So you are able to create a specific hub. Say is the Joy of Jazz weekend in Johannesburg. Partnering as an accommodation and an attraction partner to the Joy of Jazz with the jazzy sounds as a backdrop for that space becomes almost embedded in how you then start producing that, and it goes into the merchandise, it goes into memorabilia, it goes into the entire ecosystem, and you are able to then get the actual owners of that property starting to benefit out of their own space. African attractions, I want to bring you there also again. And
Can I just say something that you alluded to earlier about music being applied in different spaces and the value of that. A lot of people are not aware how sound influences people. In a restaurant, in fact, test me on this.
Yeah.
At Wimpy, you don't get the same sound that you get at what is that beautiful restaurant in Sandton? Signature. Let's say Signature. Yeah, it's owned by Mabuza, who is my surname. Different sounds, right? There's a reason for that. Yeah. Because a certain sound that is faster, that is more your pop genre, your kwaito genre, is more encourages people subconsciously to move. Yeah. So so that's where you are attracting masses. Yeah. But with classic music, your more mellow type of music, then that enables people to really connect and go deep in their conversation and dwell in that space.
And does it also goes with the wine?
It goes with the wine. It does.
And I guess that is why you have connoisseurs that are quite very specific about their drinks and their conversations compared to the other spaces and the masses. No, and I wanted to bring you to the African attractions. And again, just with South Africa, for example, in the space of 31 years, we probably have more than 30 World Heritage Sites.
Right.
And I'm of the view that we take that for granted. We actually don't understand what that means. Yeah. Other countries, it takes them years to get 3 World Heritage Sites, and we have them here. And again, to an interface with the creative space, the music, the culture. So I've not seen a combined imagery of our 30 World Heritage Sites that I can get at a glance.
From South Africa?
From South Africa. I'm just saying our World Heritage Site.
I've not seen it either.
A combined imagery of those.
That is so good.
So you can imagine if we were to develop a soundtrack of South African World Heritage Sites. I guess even that soundtrack will have a World Heritage Site status.
It would.
You get what I mean?
Yes.
So and now expanding to the continent. Right. With the story of humanity. Your Timbuktus of this continent, right. and infusion with our music, and music also goes with film, it goes with documentary and the like. Oh yeah. Don't you think this becomes an actual better way of telling and sharing and educating about our sites with the infusion of this, rather than them standing there like ivory towers, waiting for those people to come in their sober mode, to come in? I always say, you walk into Apartheid Museum, you get so depressed when you go out, there's not even a bar outside to drown your sorrow.
Sure.
How do we repackage our African attractions that are interlinked to promote intra-Africa travel and a better appreciation of our own spaces and our own heritage, so that we are able to ensure that the next generation also take care of them and they preserve them?
Sure. I think that is an amazing thought. And it should be the way we move as the African continent in terms of experiences that are authentically African. Because as you alluded to earlier, Africanness is intertwined with music, which is obviously intertwined with culture. But music is the thing for us. Yeah. That's why, they will say in the music industry that it's only the African who can sing at the same time and dance. Yeah. That is uniquely something that comes out of this soil. Yes. And so there is a great opportunity as we move forward in our experiences, in the vision that for example, AAVEA has for for the future of this continent, that music becomes an integral part of what we offer.
Yes.
Especially in all attractions, whether it's a museum or it's, Drakensberg Mountains adventure experiences. There is a great opportunity to marry music and attractions in a way that makes the experience immersive, authentic, but also truly African. We have said in my vision, let me put it that way, as president and board chairperson of AAVEA for the African continent, in terms of visitor attractions, that if you take your type of attractions that are found on this continent, uniquely on this continent, they are predominantly natural, or of natural significance, and also of heritage significance.
And community-based.
Correct.
Yeah.
So both will cut across the community-based.
Absolutely.
So because that is the African experience in its authenticity in terms of attractions right now. You don't have a lot of man-made attractions on the African continent, whereas elsewhere in the world, especially your first world countries, you have more of those theme parks, amusement parks, etc. But if you want to preserve our heritage, it doesn't just talk about preserving these assets, but it talks about preserving our identity.
Yes.
Because those stories of our heritage have to do with who we are. And so you package that with your world-class workmanship, delivery, technology, that could produce the kind of future of attractions from this continent. And for me, the essence of identity includes music, especially African music.
And I guess that also can go a long way in creating, pockets of revenues that also helps in the preservation.
That's right.
Because if there's one thing that we are not doing well in South Africa as a country is actually maintaining our assets. We don't design, think and design, build. We build for now, and then we forget the maintenance budget, and we end up building another one instead of actually keeping the maintenance.
You really said.
So how do we create, revenue streams, running in attractions? There is foundations and bodies that are set up. A lot of management of this comes as some of them mandatory by UNESCO and other governing bodies. But how do you also ensure that they think and act innovatively to also support whether it's research and development, whether it's maintenance and upkeep and preservation, so that you don't eat from the bottom line that it's supposed to expand, but you create pockets of resourcing which are linked to, you are able to even get the agencies that are responsible for maintenance partner with you on those specific aspects. Is it something that yourselves are preoccupied with as you reimagine, attractions of the African continent, attractions of the world moving forward?
So I'm glad you've asked that question, because the main purpose for me attending and contributing to the board meeting that I've just been to was actually to say, how do we move the needle in terms of our partnership with the Global Association?
Yes.
And long story short, we've said we then need to be innovative and relevant in making sure that Africa owns its space, that we're not eaten away by America.
Absolutely.
We can't have the repeat, what happened historically.
And you Disneyfy everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to preserve the authenticity of the African product, but at the same time, then dictate how the internationals then partner with us. And it needs to be in a way that elevates our standards. It needs to be in a way that makes our attractions more competitive. And it needs to be in a way that attracts even visitors from elsewhere in the world who've never experienced what we have in our region or in Africa. The kind of transformative experiences and attractions that we have here. For me, Africa is a sleeping giant as far as visitor attractions is concerned. And that's why you have your Disneys of this world right now looking at Africa.
Yeah, like this.
And your Universals and your Merlin, your Legolands, etc. Because they've been wanting to do something on the continent, but it's not easy because our cultures are unique. And so that's why they needed an association such as ours from the ground that can then partner with them and say, listen, we are people of this place. Yeah. We talk the language. We understand the intra-Africa travel. In fact, it could unlock anytime.
Absolutely. So talking about African continental free trade, these are the levers and the instrument that we should be using to actually leverage that intra-Africa platform that we have. So attractions and the world we are living in is so polarized. So what attracts you? Because that's where the word come from. It's what attracts you. So you are competing with so many other things.
Right.
I might be attracted by sports cars.
Right.
I might be attracted by other things. So having to go to Apartheid Museum or go to a sports car show, I go to a sports car show. But if you have a sports car show at an Apartheid Museum, that pairs non-traditional attractions, heritage and the like into it. So how important it's co-creation and partnerships in telling and sharing the story without necessarily being isolated and having all these pockets on their own. How do we incorporate popular culture without not tampering into the authenticity of the space? I've seen how Constitution Hill has literally evolved from a prison of pain to a prison of pumping creative sound, but still retain its authenticity.
Well, one of the critical aspects of creating this innovation and packaging of our experiences and attractions is collaboration, especially where you have attractions that are dissimilar. So important to understand that you're not competing. You are in the same space. If you're in Gauteng, you are in the same jurisdiction. If you are in South Africa, for example, when I was working for Ushaga Marine World, the CEO or MD of Table Mountain would say to me each time we meet at the AAVEA conferences, can we package together these places and maybe a couple more so that it's an experience for anyone that will come from anywhere in the world to experience the different variety of what South Africa has in store to offer the world. And so collaboration to me is really, really important. And that's one of the key pillars of the mission of AAVEA. Because we have members who are different types of attractions, museums, adventure activities, zoos, aquarium. Potpourri. There's even experiences, food experiences,
in there.
You name it. So even cultural experiences. And so it's so important. You mentioned earlier about how do we look at an event, Joy of Jazz, I think that's what you said. And how do we package the experiences around that? Because there are people who travel around the world for music. And so, but while they are there, what can they experience? And so that's why we talk about the collaboration of attractions and experiences, because you understand that the world is small.
Yes.
So it really is backward to think like we are competitors.
Yeah.
We are, somebody said
Yeah, we are cooperative.
but we are collaborative competitors.
Yeah.
There's a word for it
Yes,
that
yes.
combines the two.
The two,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So you will never travel just to come and see an experience and go back, and then you come back, you go to the delicious International Food and Music Festival. It doesn't work that way. You use something that becomes a hook.
Right.
You go to the festival
right.
if it's hosted in an attraction bingo.
Yes.
But also you actually incorporate your touring of the other spaces.
It's the same as business events.
Absolutely.
In fact, business events these days are many times determined by what is available attraction-wise and experiences-wise in that region or in that city.
And what is called the After Dark program. As we wrap up, Pums, I will not leave you go without indicating. So, just a quick reminiscent. First time you arrived in Johannesburg, it might be on a school bus coming to the Pretoria Zoo many moons ago, but as a KZN girl, and you land into this golden province, Gauteng, where either the place swallows you or it elevates you.
Wow.
Do you have any memories?
I do. Yeah, I think my first one actually, I was in a boarding school in KZN Gwanongoma. And we traveled for sports in a bus. And I still remember the trip like it was yesterday. I was probably, 5, 6 years old. It was primary school.
Boarding school at 5 years?
Boarding school, yes.
Barba Gaoganediwe.
Well, back then, Catholic boarding schools were the thing in the 80s.
Perfect.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm not showing my age.
Yeah.
And I remember us, the moment you said egoli.
Yeah.
Ooh, that word, I think, on its own for many, many years for me was the place of gold, the place of dreams come true, the place where people leave rural areas and go there to make money, to live their dreams. And so all of that and more was always on my mind whenever you say egoli. And so that experience was unforgettable because, number one, it's not the same as rural KZN.
Yeah.
And where I grew up.
And everybody speaks a lot of languages.
Exactly. It's not Zulu like where I grew up. It's different type of languages. But it was almost a microcosm of the world.
Yeah.
It's our cosmopolitan space. And it still is.
Absolutely.
And so, I think for me, it's a place that says this is where dreams come true. And that's what was the excitement for us as kids coming here.
So let's close it on a musical note. As we started on a musical note, if there's one song for you that you think represents the Gauteng story, what would be that song?
Wow. Sure. I think for me, the first one that came to my mind as you finished that question was Vulindlela. Yeah, Mam Gopozi.
Yes.
Yes.
So the ladies sitting on the fence talking to each other in the morning.
Right.
Did you hear?
That's right.
What happened?
And don't be jealous.
Yes.
Yes.
I guess on that note, that's the musical note. We will leave it right there. Mpume, thank you very much for coming through and gracing this platform. We really appreciate you. Happy Women's Month. We really wish you well with AAVEA and with the Downtown Studios. We can't wait for it to be reset. We can't wait to collaborate with the story killers, with the producers, with the heritage that is there to create this music tourism heritage route that we so need. And with that, we will be able to rise up again the city of Johannesburg and the Golden Province of Gauteng as a true music city region. So thank you very much for coming through. We really appreciate you taking time to come and join us. That has been another exciting episode of Gauteng Lifve, your premier platform. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Follow us at Visit Gauteng on Instagram and on Twitter. We are at I Love Gauteng on Facebook. We are also available across the many digital platforms. Download the Visit Gauteng mobile app. Load your product there. We will do the quality check, and for free, we'll be able to showcase your product. Until the next episode, second round.